All right. So my first question is please tell me a little bit about yourself. Your name, where you're from.
Okay, so my name is Ofer, O-F-E-R, Atad, A-T-A-D. I'm originally from Israel. I live here in Israel. I'm doing my PhD in Tel Aviv University, Faculty of Management. I have a private clinic as a coach, and I lecture.
Right.
I lecture on positive psychology.
Yeah.
To undergraduate students.
Yeah. And what is your background, education and training? And
I have a BA, a bachelor degree in behavioral science.
yeah.
I have a master degree in information system technology.
Right.
And another master degree in coaching psychology from the University of Sydney.
Right. And do you have a specific training, coaching training, or positive psychology training above that, or?
I have a diploma in coaching from the School of Social Work here in Tel Aviv University.
Right.
So this is my basic training in coaching. And apart from that, I'm going to conferences all over the world, but I didn't do something especially dedicated to positive psychology. But I am working with Dr. Tal Ben-Shahar for the last 6 years or so as his TA.
Yeah.
So I'm really familiar with positive psychology, intervention, theory, methods, and so on.
Right. And for how long would you say you've been doing coaching and positive psychology coaching?
I think 5 years.
5 years.
5.5, yeah.
Yeah. And can you tell me a bit more about your job? What does it contain?
Job as a coach? Or,
Yeah.
Basically, in my private clinic, people contact me for coaching services. Most clients, for some reason, come to me on the edge of therapy/coaching. So basically, they have an issue that maybe should have been treated in therapy, but they prefer coaching.
Yeah.
And combined with my specific background, it suits well.
Yeah.
So
So what types of issues could that be?
Something on the edge of self-esteem, self-efficacy, some issues regarding work. Because I have a background in sports, some people come with issues in weight management or time management,
Right.
and so on.
And the people who come to you, are they specific groups of people or very different?
Very diverse. I think the youngest was 16 and the oldest was 60 or something. Some secular, some religious. I mainly work here in the Tel Aviv area, so the people are here from Tel Aviv or the close cities. Yeah.
Okay. And when you work with positive psychology coaching, do you can you explain to me what does that look like? If I was your client, I came from the first time, what would you do?
Okay, I will jump ahead to one of your future questions. And from my point of view, there's actually no such thing as positive psychology coaching. Coaching is a carriage you can use to implement many different kinds of techniques and knowledge. So basically you can use, CBT in coaching, and now it's not CBT coaching, it's just coaching that you use CBT in it.
Right, yeah.
And the thing about positive psychology is that it's a great knowledge base, theoretically, but there's no conversation in which you can use it. Because clinical psychology is not a good fit for that. And coaching is. So you can very easily implement positive psychology into the coaching language.
Yeah.
So, coaching is about flourishing and future happiness, so it fits beautifully with positive psychology. So you don't need to call it positive psychology coaching. You can call it magic coaching or whatever.
Yeah.
Or Tony uses the phrase nana coaching or whatever. You just need to make sure that you implement positive psychology, according to the scientific methods and background of positive psychology, and not falling into the pop psychology kind of, motivational talking without any scientific background to it.
Yeah. What do you call your work when clients ask you?
I'm a coach.
Coach.
I'm a coach. In Israel, there's a phrase, in Israel, they invented the word. In Israel, a coach is called a coacher, like a painter.
Right.
So they invented the word, although the word for coach. In English, it's just coach,
Yeah,
not coacher. So in Israel, the word is coacher, but I don't call myself a coacher because I think fundamentally, if someone don't know what the name of his profession is, then he's doing the wrong job. So I'm a coach, or basically I'm even not saying that I'm a coach. I'm saying that I'm using coaching the tools and techniques in my work.
Right.
So I'm practicing maybe the art of coaching.
Yeah.
So I'm not using the word coach as it is, because coaching in Israel seems a bit not so appreciated.
Right.
Because there's no barriers of entry. Everybody can be a coach.
Yeah.
So and really, there are more than 100 coaching schools in Israel.
Right.
And more than 10,000 coaches working.
Right.
So basically, you can wake up in the morning and decide that you are a coach.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that I'm a coach. I'm saying that I'm using coaching, and even on my business card, I'm not saying that I'm a coach or doing coaching. I'm just saying that I'm supporting change. I'm dealing with empowerment, and so on.
Yeah.
Not coaching, because coaching seems like a very not so I forgot the word, but coaching not seems like a very serious occupation in Israel.
Right. And what would it look like if I came to you for help? Like.
So you would either contact me through my website or hear about me somewhere and just call me, and we would talk a bit on the phone just to make sure that we understand we have a common ground. All the basic management stuff, or how long is the meeting takes, and what should the client expect, and then we just schedule our first meeting,
right.
And a meeting, try to get to know one another. My experience in coaching is that even though the client comes with a basic idea that he knows what he want to work around, usually it's not the case. Usually, sometimes the client comes with goals that are not his.
Yeah.
Somebody just told me that I need to do something, so it's much more challenging to work on it. And sometimes the client just don't know what his goals are, just don't know what to do. So basically, in the first few meetings, you just work around clarifying the goals, getting to know the client, and trying to create a case conceptualization of what's happened in the client's world.
Yeah.
And trying to make it a bit more easier for him to see maybe the future challenges or the goals that he would like to work around. And then you just set goals and work around them.
Yeah. And how long does this process take when you set the goals? So you start talking about the challenge, or
okay. So some clients are ready to jump into the water, and you just set the goals and you start working. With these clients, there's always a question: if they're so ready to do it, why do they need a coach?
Yeah.
And then usually at session 4 or 5, there is an issue of motivation or sticking to the plan, and some other issue arise, and then you realize that they're not so ready to do it.
Right.
With others, you need maybe to work towards understanding the really meaning or purpose, or why am I really doing it?
Yeah.
If you consider, for example, the PLOC, the perceived locus of causality model.
Yeah.
So do you really want to do it? Is it a calling for you, or do you have to do it, or you just need to do it?
Yeah.
There's a huge difference in the motivation of people to commit to goals.
Yeah.
If they have to do it, somebody else, if it's intrinsic or extrinsic.
Yeah.
So you really need to make sure that the client is ready for the change. Change is really a hard process. So
Yeah.
you really got to make sure that he's really there and ready to do it.
Yeah. And what else can you tell me in general about what it would look like?
So basically, I'm in favor of doing the coaching sessions where the client is most comfort. So I have a place, I have my private clinic, but some people prefer doing it in a cafe.
Right.
So some sessions we'll do in a coffee shop,
Right.
or some sessions we even do while walking in the park.
Yeah.
Whatever suits the client, because the working alliance and the relationship between the coach and the coachee, or the therapist and the client and the patient, is one of the main predictors in a good therapy or good coaching process.
Yeah.
So this is my main point. Make sure that the client is relaxed, comfort, and then you can build on the coaching alliance and the relationship.
Right. And what else can you tell me in general about the way that you work? And then I'm going to ask more specifically about these.
So basically, it's I'm not doing telephone coaching. It's a face-to-face conversation. It's usually an hour and 15 minutes a week. The clients usually get homeworks between sessions. My personal opinion is, which is different than I think most coaches or therapists, is that when you're in a process of coaching with the client, you're completely there for him. So if he needs you between sessions, if he feels like something is wrong and he wants to contact you via email or phone or whatever, he can do it. It's part of the coaching service because I'm there for him for the process as a whole.
Right.
So it's important for me that the client will feel safe and secure, and he knows that he's not alone in this journey of creating change in his life.
Yeah.
So basically, the clients get homework, come back with the homework, and from session to session, there's a whole week. So many things happen during the week, and usually the client that you leave at the end of session 1 is not the client that you meet at the beginning of session 2.
Right.
Many things happen.
Yeah.
And while he was maybe really obligated towards his goal in this end of the session, at the beginning of the second session, he might think of other different things completely.
Yeah.
Because he had time to reconsider, to reflect, to think about it. And this is why coaching is a process.
Yeah.
It's not a linear thing. You have stumbles on the way, you have regression, remissions, and so on.
Yeah. And so you meet every week?
Yeah.
And for how long?
Usually 3 months, but in many cases, because many of my clients are on the edge of therapy and coaching, just on the border, many processes go way along, more than 3 months. I even had one client for 1.5 years.
Right.
Yeah.
Every week?
Every week for 1.5 years.
Oh.
And in some of the cases, I'm working together with a psychologist.
Right.
So if the person comes to me and he wants to do coaching, and he tells me that he's also going to therapy, I'm getting his permission to contact the psychologist and make sure that we are working on the same ground.
Right.
So we understand the language, we understand one another, because some psychologists don't want to work with coaches.
No.
Okay, and some do.
Yeah.
So just to make sure that we're thinking the same way, we're working on the same ground, that I'm not doing that is out of my qualifications.
Yeah.
And especially if somebody's in therapy, I do not permit them to stop therapy and start coaching. They got to do it parallel.
Yeah.
Parallel. Maybe in the future they decide that therapy has done the work and now they want to focus on coaching. This is okay, but I don't want somebody to stop the therapy because they start coaching. Usually it works very good together, coaching and therapy.
Yeah. And when you do coaching, do you use assessments?
Yeah.
Which ones do you use?
I use positive psychology assessments. So I use the satisfaction with life scale.
Yeah.
Of dinner, and I'm using the PANAS, the positive and negative affect schedule, by I think it's Clark and Tellegen, or Watson and Tellegen, or Watson and Clark.
Yeah.
And so I give them the questionnaire at the end of the first session to feel at home and get it back to me.
Yeah.
And this way I can first get a glance at the assessment, and then as the process goes on, I get them to feel it again in the middle of the process and at the end, and then I can see if there were any changes.
Right. So at the end of the first session, and when next time you use it, is that the beginning or end of a session?
It's around the middle of the coaching process, let's say a month and a half or so. And I just give them the questionnaire to take home, fill it, and bring it back.
Right.
Because I don't want to take time of the coaching session to fill questionnaire.
Right. And so when do you use which one? Do you use both of them? Or
Both.
All the time, or?
Both in 3 time periods during the coaching session.
Right.
So I can tell in the middle of the coaching session if something changed
Yeah.
and at the end.
Right. And do you use other assessments?
No.
And what do these two typically show? Is how do you interpret what they show?
Usually you just see linearly if there's a change in levels of satisfaction with life, and you see if people get more positive than negative, if the ratio changes from towards more a positive state of mind. I also use, I don't know if it's called an assessment, but the wheel of life is the way of assessing the all-around aspects of the person's life. So I think you're familiar with it. They give score to every area in their life. So if I can give it to them at the middle and the end of the process, then you get another understanding of how satisfied are they with different aspects of their life in different point of times.
Yeah.
So, for example, I don't know how satisfied are they with a career, for example. Okay, so if they're graded with 6 at the beginning of the process and 9 at the end of the process, then you can correlate it with the general level of satisfaction with life according to Dinner's scale, and that you see a positive shift in their mood or affect. They say, okay, so there's a connection.
Yeah. I've seen different versions of the Wheel of Life, so it's if you have it on your computer or something, I'd like to see it afterwards.
Yeah, it's basically the same from I'll send it to you, but it's the version from the co-active coaching, but just with Hebrew labels instead,
right.
Instead of
I won't be
English
able to read that.
and Hebrew instructions.
Right.
Yeah.
And so the instructions, are those for you or for the person filling them out?
It has 2 pages. The first page is just an example and the directions that basically tells the client to think about his life, in different aspects of his life, how satisfied is he or she with each aspect, and think about challenges in these fields. Was he able to confront them, create change in them, ask him to be really true about what he feels, and then grade it on the map. And the second page is just an empty page on which he create his own score and fax it or bring it to the next session.
Right. You also mentioned Pluck. Do you use that as a conversational tool, or how do you use that?
There are times in which I want to reflect or present the client with a more deep understanding of what he's actually doing in his life, so I can present the block not as the model as it is scientifically, but just let him understand that maybe something of the thing that he's doing are motivated by extrinsic motivation instead of intrinsic motivation, and a better fit towards his goal will be to find a way to make this goal more intrinsic, more meaningful for him.
Yeah.
So then I can maybe paint or draw the block or part of it, and make him realize that now he's on the left side, which is the extrinsic motivation, while we need to find a way together to move this goal toward a more intrinsic, more related to his core values, in order for him to have higher motivation for it.
So you draw it or paint it on a piece of paper?
Yeah.
Oh, so you are a painter.
Kind of. Or just a continuum. Because sometimes when Canon Sheldon is using it, sometimes it's according to the article with circles, and sometimes just using it as a continuum.
Yeah.
So.
Right. But so you simply, when you do the coaching, you have paper with you, and
I have paper with me all the time, and I'm making notes for myself.
Right.
And if I need to paint something for qualifications, or if I want to give an example, just draw some basic process kind of drawings, it's always useful that you have a piece of paper.
Right.
It makes it more alive, instead of just talking about it. Let's see how it is on real life.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're here and you're thinking that this leads you to doing that. Okay, is that good for you? according to your goal or not. Maybe you have other options. Let's see. Let's draw a line here and arrow over there and see the options.
Yeah.
Makes it more alive.
Right. What about interventions? Do you use positive interventions?
Yeah, I use, as I said before, all the coaching conversation is positive basically positive.
Right, yeah.
Because we look at the present and the future, trying to create a more a positive towards the client's fulfilling his potential. So basically all the conversation is towards a positive state. I do present positive interventions when I feel that they fit the client, because some positive interventions need the client's ability to reflect,
right,
and some don't have the ability to reflect, or some clients over-reflect, and I don't want them to reflect so much.
No.
So if it fits, then I will present a positive psychology intervention that I know for scientifically that have an impact.
Right.
So, for example, a letter of gratitude, or the three good things exercise, or it's hard to say that it's a positive psychology intervention, but positive psychology recommend exercising,
yeah,
or doing sports.
Yeah.
So, this is always good.
Yeah.
3 times a week, 30 minutes, aerobic, endorphins, you become happier,
yeah,
and lose weight on the way. So, what else? Again, I don't know if it's positive psychology or coaching, so we can use a letter from the future,
yeah,
a basic CBT kind of framework with tables. So I'm feeling that, I'm behaving like that. Can I change the way I think? Kind of disputing exercise like Seligman recommends in his, I think it's one of his first articles. I find the letter of gratitude really works.
Yeah.
Letter from the future is challenging for some people. Some people are just stunned because they can't imagine the future. They don't see a future, and it makes them feel really, really bad about themselves. Because, if I can't think about my future, then what am I doing here?
Yeah.
And sometimes it causes some people to go a bit back in not feeling so good about themselves.
Right.
3 good things is a challenge for many people to keep on doing it, and some clients I find that are doing it, just for the doing of it without really thinking of it, understanding, connecting to the meaning of it.
Right.
Just on the surface.
Right.
So in some cases just misses its point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the gratitude letter, can you tell me more about that? Because in Denmark it's difficult to get people to do, and I think also some other places, England, it's sometimes difficult. So how do you do that?
Israel, the people in Israel are very open, and it's now we're getting towards more of individualistic community, but basically it's very common for Israelis, you just see a person and after 5 minutes is your friend,
right,
and then you're friends for life.
right.
So it's very common that people are communicating. Physical contact is more common than in other places. So people are more towards giving to others, volunteering, and so on. So saying thank you to somebody really makes sense for them.
Right.
And although it can be embarrassing to write it and to deliver it, people do it.
Right.
People do it and enjoy the benefits of it.
Right. And the 3 good things, I often hear positive feedback on that one, but it seems that it's different here.
If you do it according to recommendations, so every night before you go to sleep, reflect, think why these are positive things, thank for them, and try to refresh your mind with new things, then it works. But if you do it out of hand, just I'm going to sleep now, I'll write 3 things, then it just doesn't work.
No.
And some people don't have the ability to reflect, to connect to that, and some people with very busy kind of living, they just don't find the time for that, or don't do it, I don't know, 3 days and they skip it for 4 days. So maybe it's a bit of problem with obligation.
Right.
Or, one of the issues is that with the gratitude letter, you see the impact right away.
Yeah.
And it stays strong for a month or so. With the 3 good things, you need to do it for at least 3 to 4 weeks before you start to see a shift in your state of mind, and you begin to realize the good things in your life. And in our ecstatic way of life, you want to see change now.
Yeah.
You want to feel good now.
Yeah.
And if you don't feel good, you say, oh, so what am I doing it for?
Right.
Okay.
And when do you use which interventions? You say when they fit, but how do you know they fit?
Basically, they all work towards the same goal, which is to make the person more happy or more satisfaction with his life. I can see by the person, abilities and qualities, if he will be able to deliver a gratitude letter, if he needs something like direct, positive shot immediately right now, so a gratitude letter will suit him.
Yeah.
Or somebody that have many good things in his life and don't see it as good things. So maybe the 3 good things will be a great exercise for him.
Right.
And combined with his ability to reflect, maybe somebody that is a bit more spiritual, so, or usually prays. So he combined it. In the Jewish religion, there's the first pray in the morning is in Hebrew is Modeh Ani, which is I thank for.
Right.
I thank for all the things. So it's the first thing you do.
Right.
So for religious people, it really makes sense.
Right.
To connect to all the good things in your life.
Right.
And as you know, what we focus on increase.
Yeah.
So, and we usually focus on the negative.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is our default in life.
Yeah.
Negative is stronger than the positive.
Yeah.
So in order to make this shift, we got to focus more on the positive.
Yeah.
So that is with the letter from the future. I'm using it with almost every client.
Right.
Because if you have a goal, where do you want to see yourself in the future? How your future life will look if you achieve this goal?
Yeah.
And I also use didn't say before the magic question.
Yeah.
So it's basically it's a kind of a version of the letter from the future.
So the one from solution focused.
The one from solution focused therapy. So you wake up in the morning and a miracle happened and you achieved your goals and everything is good. What will be different?
Yeah.
How will your life look? How will other people tell that you have changed?
Yeah.
So just another version of the letter from the future.
Yeah.
And again, in this one too, people have challenges. Because some people don't have the ability to reflect. Some people don't have an understanding of, they want to get things done, but they don't know why.
No.
And if you don't have the why, then you have really big problems in creating a future.
Yeah. And so how do you use the interventions? Do you tell them and then they go home and do them, or do they do them in the session, or?
First of all, I tell them the scientific backgrounds behind it. And I describe and explain why we're doing it.
Right.
And I demonstrate that there are good background to it, and that it is working. And it's not pop psychology. It's not that I'm asking them to go and collect stones and this will make them happy. After they get familiar with the model and why we're doing it, then I'm sending them home to do it. For the gratitude letter, I ask them to write it in hand, not print it, and to bring it to the next session.
Yeah.
And with the 3 good things, again, I ask them to buy a notebook or something, and do it every night, and to start bringing it to the sessions.
Right. So they bring it.
Yeah, and so I can review if they're really doing it, and we can talk about it. And it's another opportunity to focus on the positive things in their life. And this gives me another way of looking at how committed are they, if they done the homework or not. Yeah.
And so how do you follow up? What happens when they bring it back?
So, at the end of the session, I tell them, bring it to the next session, and we will talk and discuss it. And at the beginning of the next session, if there isn't any, something that they have to discuss first, something urgent, then ask them to tell me how it was, how it make them feel, if they have any thoughts about it, any recommendations, because my point of view is that, although I'm the coach, the clients have many important and wise things to say, and there isn't even one client that I haven't learned something from. I basically tell them at the beginning of the coaching session that I'm no better than they are. We are the same. This is what make coaching such a great tool, because it's not the expert and the patient. We're working on the same level. The only thing is that I have the techniques to create the environment that will foster change and positive process. So I learned a lot from the clients, and so I want to hear feedback. Did it work? If not, why? If you felt less committed for some reason, what happened?
Yeah.
Do you want to continue doing it? If not, why? Is there good reason for not continuing to do it?
Yeah.
Because some people are so used to focus on the negative, then suddenly they see positive, it conflicts with their state of self.
Right.
Okay? Kind of shakes their beliefs about themselves. Because some people are actually defined by this negative state of mind, and suddenly if they're becoming more positive, they don't familiar with themselves. It makes them feel really, really strange. They kind of need to reinvent themselves, and it's a huge change they have to go through. Some people can do it. It's like somebody who's losing weight, a huge amount of kilos for the first time, but in his heart he's still fat, although physically is not. So until he changes the way he thinks about himself, he will have real problems containing and keeping this weight.
Let's see. What about you mentioned that you explained some of the research behind the interventions. So can you tell me a bit more about how do you share models, theories?
It's very simple. Basically, in the first session, I describe my background, and I'm telling that different from many other coaches, I believe in doing only things and using only methods and techniques that were proved scientifically to work. Okay. So every time I will present an exercise or a method or a technique, I will present the scientific background behind it. I'm not sending them to read the articles, but I'm telling them that it's research done by these and these. The evidence shows that. With my experience with former clients, I received very good feedbacks, so I believe it will be helpful for you as well. We can try it. I'm not forcing you. Let's see how you feel about it. Do you want to do it? Do you feel like you want to do it? If not, why? What do you think will happen if you do it? What are the negative aspects you're afraid of if you're not feeling good about doing it? So we discuss it until we get to a common ground, and then he's doing it, she is doing it.
Right. And how long time does it take to discuss something like that, to explain and discuss and choose to do it?
10 minutes.
10 minutes?
Even less.
Right.
Depends on the client. Some clients want more understanding. Some even, in some cases, they even really want to read the articles.
Right.
So no problem.
So you send them the articles?
Sure.
Right.
Sure.
Right.
One of the challenges is just to differentiate between the pop psychology and science, and coaching is just one of the main challenges of coaching is really making sure that coaching will become evidence-based, research-based, and not pop psychology kind of magic coaching. And it is a challenge, especially in Israel, when there is a TV show guided by, they call him Alon Gal. It's considered to be the national coach.
Right.
He has no background in coaching, The only background he's got is 3 or 4 weekend seminars in communication, I am, landmark, and so on. He shouts at people, at the clients. He tells them what to do. It's in TV, it looks like they're really creating changes and really improve their lives. But actually, as a coach, a well-educated coach, you look at it and you say, this is not coaching. This is even not consulting. This is just telling people what to do. And coaching is completely different. Coaching is telling the person, you are in charge of your life, okay? You need to do the change. I'm here to support you, but I won't tell you what to do. It's your life.
Yeah.
Coaching is the invitation to take charge of your life and make sure that you are the one who is making the changes. And everybody is wishing for somebody to tell them what to do, because it makes life much more easier. And coaching is not about that. It's just the opposite. So I need to make sure that people understand what coaching is, what coaching isn't. If people come to me and tell me, I want you to tell me what to do, then you got to the wrong place. I will not tell you what to do. In some rare cases, I will ask your permission to bring my own ideas, so we can brainstorm around them. But basically, it's your life. Okay? I want to make sure that your self-efficacy levels will be high enough, so when I will not be there, you can still manage life and continue improving. Because otherwise, you'll be dependent on me.
And do you follow other principles, like theoretical principles, in your coaching?
So I'm following basically the solution focus theme. So less focusing on problems, more focusing on solutions, and the language is more solution oriented. I believe that questions is the one of the main engines in coaching. So to facilitate change, you better ask a lot of open-end questions instead of closed questions that can create reflection and insight with the client. I use a lot of CBT techniques, because many issues are in regard to how to shift the way we think about things, and making sure that we understand that there are other ways of thinking and understanding the effects of life. The way we feel is not exactly how reality is. In many cases, most of the time, it's not. If somebody didn't say hi to me on the streets, it's not that I'm a bad person, it's the end of the world and nobody loves me. Maybe it just didn't notice. Okay, so if you don't put this on the table, people would just keep on thinking that way. So when they start to reflect about it, they suddenly realize, maybe I'm just falling into this, thinking error traps.
And you mentioned you also sometimes share ideas. You ask permission, and then you can share an idea. Can you say more about that?
Sometimes, Tony uses a nice example. Tony Grant. He says that there is quote, kind of myth in coaching, that a coach is not allowed to tell, just ask. But sometimes the coachee don't know the answers. You can ask him as much as you like, but he won't know the answer, and you're just making him more frustrated. So if, for example, if you ask me about, I don't know, sailing competitions in Denmark, I don't know, think about it. You can ask me in an hour. I will not know anything. So in some cases, it is useful to ask the clients for permission to come with your point of view or your own ideas, in order to generate more ideas or brainstorming around it. Because sometimes, the minute you come with one idea of your own, the client realizes that he understands where to go with his thoughts and ideas, and now he can come with his own.
Right.
Sometimes when you just don't know where to look, you won't find anything.
So in those cases, you present ideas?
I ask permission to present ideas, and if the clients agree, then I'm bringing some ideas to the table. I try to bring a diverse group of ideas, so it will be hard for the coachee to accept my point of view, because I'm bringing more a diverse, not only one point of view, but few. So at the end of the day, he will have to choose.
Right. Okay. What about flexibility? Do you change models, assessments, interventions to?
I'm using the same assessments, but flexibility is one of the main characteristics of coaching. You got to suit the process to the specific client. So starting with where the sessions will take place, if it will be in the client's home, or my clinic, or on the beach, or in a coffee shop.
Yeah.
So again, it's adapted towards the clients. Intervention-wise, some clients need interventions, positive interventions, some don't. With some, all you have to do is understand the concept of the GROW model or SMART goals, combine it with a block, and just set a plan and let's go.
Yeah.
Let's go and see what will happen. So it really depends on the client. There's no, in Israel as well, I think in other places, there's some coaching schools that teach, 12 stages of coaching or 12 tools for coaching, which basically say that in each session you give the client a tool.
Yeah.
Or in session 4, this what is going to happen. The thing is, you can't relate to people as as the same. People are diverse, they have different challenges, and even the same person is changing between sessions. The person in session 1 will behave differently in session 3, and maybe regress on session 5.
Yeah.
So I can present as many tools as I like, but if they don't suit and fit the client, it's a waste of time.
Yeah.
And some coaches are using exactly that. They don't care what the client is thinking or even need. They have a plan to present a coaching tool number 6, and this will be the plan for session 6.
Yeah.
And I think it's a waste of time and actually kind of a joke.
Yeah.
Because you can't, if you're saying that coaching is a personal kind of relationship, if you're following a 12 tools or kind of what it is, you miss all the points.
Yeah. So what do you have some principles you use when you adapt to things to people, or how do you know how to adapt?
I think it's more of intuition combined with the real facts of life in the coaching process. For example, if you in a discussion with the client, and you see that these clients don't have the ability to reflect. Some people don't. They can't really analyze themselves. Then you know that this client will not suit certain things.
Yeah.
Or there's no way of going deep with this client. Or some clients, carry on psychotherapy issues from the past. So you should consider either to go a bit deeper into that or not. Will it be helpful for the coaching process or not? So it's an intuition plus the amount of data you gather through the process.
Right.
That makes you decide whether or not to adapt and what things to adapt. And sometimes you begin the coaching sessions with sitting next to a table, and then you decide that actually, if I want to diverse the coachee thinking from his automatic thoughts, we better do something else while coaching. So maybe we better walk outside. So we'll be looking at things, and he won't be able to so rationally analyze things.
Right.
Because he will be busy breathing.
Yeah.
Okay. So you think, okay, so and in other cases it won't be the case. In other cases maybe it's a CEO of a company, and there's no way we'll be moving from his table. He wants the sessions to be in his office, on his grounds, and maybe at the beginning this would be the case. That somewhere you realize that actually this is one of the main problems.
Yeah.
That you've got to take him out of his comfort zone and take him outside.
And how do you do that? How can you get people to go outside with you?
Just tell them that I think it will be more beneficial for them, and let's try it once. If you don't like it, we can always go back.
Yeah.
And you know, your point of view is important to me, so tell me how you feel.
Yeah.
And you know, at the beginning of the coaching session, of the coaching relationship, I always tell the client, I'm not God. I do mistakes like everybody else. I don't have all the truth in the world on my shoulders. If you think, as a client, and you feel that I'm doing a mistake, and I'm following maybe a line of conversation that is not good for you, will not be fruitful for you, tell me. If you think that I did a mistake, did I maybe insult you? Did I say something that was out of place? It's your obligation to tell me, because it's your process.
Yeah.
Okay? And I might make mistakes. And I want your feedback. Your feedback is important for me.
Yeah.
So yeah, it makes them feel that, you know, it's not the coach doing something to them. They are part of the coaching process. It's all about them.
Yeah.
It's not about me as a coach.
And I have one more question, then we can take
Okay.
a break. You mentioned earlier that you have these sessions every week, and you have them for 3 months, for instance. And a lot of, especially psychotherapists, I know that there's a dropout rate. People drop out of therapy because they feel they're not moving, or something else happens, or something like that. So how can you get people to stay for such a long time? What do you do too?
Okay, first of all, like in therapy, there are cases of dropouts. And actually you can, if you already have the experience, you can tell after the first or second session that this person will drop out. Maybe they didn't come from the right reason. Maybe they want a quick fix of one session, and you know that coaching is not about one session. It's kind of tricky, because on one hand you want to make sure that they will stick to the coaching process, but on the other hand you don't want to be too pushy. Because if you are too pushy, you take responsibility for them.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to reconfirm before sessions, make sure, but sometimes they cancel at the last minute, and sometimes there are dropouts. I think if you create a good coaching alliance, a good coaching relationship, and the client understand deep in his heart that you really care about him and he really is important for you, he will not drop. Because I think fundamentally the thing about therapy and coaching is that, you know, in our Western society, individualistic society, the basic need of people is the relatedness. If we go to the self-determination theory, the relatedness, the need to relate to somebody, the need to feel that somebody cares for us, that we have a friend.
Yeah.
And in the individualistic society, we become less and less in communities, in relationship with people. So if you create this environment in which the client feels that basically he's got a friend, somebody is listening to him, and he's got a space in which he can deliver his own, what he feels and what he thinks, he will stay.
Right.
Even though at the beginning he will not see any progress, because the positive relationship as itself is a process.
Right, yeah.
It's a positive outcome of the coaching.
Right. But it only lasts as long as you have them as in the sessions, or what? Like when they stop, then they lose a friend, or what?
I'm in touch with all of my past clients.
Right.
Send birthday cards.
Oh, you do?
Yeah. Always.
Right.
Always. Because I believe that if I got into somebody's life, then I'm there.
Right.
And they have the permission either to cut the strings and fly with their wings and not be in touch with me, and it's okay. And some, I've coached some for a year or so, and we ended the coaching relationships. And 2 years later, they returned with another issue.
Right.
So it's always important just to end the coaching relationship in a good manner, and give the clients the understanding that I'm there for him for future challenges and questions or whatever. Even from a marketing point of view, it's good.
Yeah.
So it's the end. In case of coaching relationship that goes beyond 3 months, I'm telling you at the first session that after 12 or 14 sessions, we will stop, we'll summarize what happened so far, and I'll ask if they want to continue.
Right.
If they will want to continue, then we'll do so. Because it's my obligation ethically. Because, in therapy can go on for years. Woody Allen once said that he's going for therapy for 13 years, and he feels that nothing happens. So he decided that he's giving it a chance for 1 more year, and if it doesn't help, he will just go and commit himself to a psychiatric hospital. So, because there's something that is really addictive about therapy. You just go there, tell all the things that are bad in your life, and go home. And again and again and again. So in coaching, the feeling that something is time framed is really, really important. But if you go beyond this time frame, you got to make sure that the client is, with you on the same boat.
Yeah.
That it doesn't feel that you kind of just, mushing it around just to make more money and more sessions.
Right. I have some questions about what makes coaching effective. So what would you say makes your way of coaching effective?
I think the main thing that makes coaching effective is the coaching relationship and the coaching conversation. And as I said before, the minute that the client feels that you are in the same boat with him, the coaching process will be positive and will be good. This is the main challenge, to create the environment and alliance. And I think it's a basic tool in therapy as well, to create the challenge, to create a secure, safe environment in which the client feels good.
Right. So what do you do to do that? How do you create that?
It starts with with allowing the client to choose where he want to meet.
Yeah.
Trying to be flexible with hours. So, for example, I'm meeting a client tomorrow at noon. So it's Friday at 2 p.m. in a cafe in Tel Aviv. Okay, I think most people will say, okay, this is my clinic, this is my opening hours, schedule according to my time schedule. I'm trying to be more flexible if I can, because I believe if I can accommodate the needs of the clients, they will feel more secure and more safe.
Yeah.
It doesn't say that if they cancel and move the times one session after another and cancel again, that I will keep on being flexible. After the third or fourth time, I will tell them, let's stop the partying and each go to their home and let's finish this coaching process, because it's not serious.
No.
Yeah.
And do you do other things to create and maintain a good working relationship with the client?
The basic things like keeping eye contact, making sure that your body language is open and positive, really tuned to body language cues, or changing the vocabulary or the language of the client, what he says, what he didn't say, what he said in the last session, now he changed he said it differently, or what he was more focused on before and now he's less focused on, what changed. You've got to be more tuned to these things, because sometimes the coachee will not want to tell you directly, but actually he wants you to ask.
Right.
And if you ask, he will give you the whole story.
Right.
You just need to push the right button, so he will tell you.
Right.
Yeah.
And so how do you use the information that you pick up with the body language and or the cues? How do you use that information?
Yeah, the coaching process is a very complicated process to manage, because in your head, you gotta hold the case conceptualization of the client, which is always changing, and is changing from minute to minute. So I'm asking a question, I'm receiving an answer. The answer is both verbally and physically. So I can see if the client starts moving nervously in his chair. So I say, okay, he answers that rationally. On the other hand, he moves very nervously in his chair, which kind of gives me the impression that he is actually thinking another thing. What will be my next question? Where I want to go? My next question will be too tough on him, or should I go this direction or not? If so, what magnitude should I do that?
Yeah.
Okay. So this is what I'm thinking while thinking of the next question.
Right.
Okay. So it's a process of reflecting and reframing, getting insight on the way.
Right.
Yeah.
And what do you do to establish credibility? Like, so people believe in you or believe in positive psychology or in coaching?
First of all, before a client starts working with me and he asks for recommendations, and I'm sending him to, asking former clients to give their phone numbers and they can talk with them. Another thing is that I have letter of recommendations on my website. So I'm basically asking clients to write, their impression at the end of the process. Some agree, some don't. Some agree with, with just initial, not the full name, and it's completely okay. Some don't agree, and it's fine. So basically, the thing is, the clients got to feel that you are credible.
Yeah.
For some, the fact that I did the master degree in coaching psychology is enough. For some, the fact that I did the master degree in coaching psychology and working with Tal Ben Shachar is enough. And for some, they don't care. The fact that they see and understand that I know what I'm talking about, and I'm fluent in what I'm saying, is enough.
Right.
Okay, it's not that I'm, giving, quotes and shouting sentences. Don't worry, be happy, or such of a thing, and Tony Robbins kind of statements. That at the end of the day, there's nothing underneath.
Mm-hmm.
There's all the thing with the secret. You familiar with the secret?
Yeah, I've only heard about it. I haven't.
The secret is a concept, is a kind of pop psychology concept that drawn from the concept that there is a law of attraction in nature. So if you think about something long enough and strong enough, you will attract these things into your life. So basically, if I think about a beautiful blonde woman with huge tits, and I will think about it strong enough, she will come. The problem is that we all know that thinking is not enough. Thinking, visualization is good and important, but you gotta have, you gotta act. You gotta do something with it. Okay. So basically, the people who wrote The Secret did something. They wrote the book, and now they're making money out of it. But many people who use The Secret, just think about things, and it doesn't happen for them. So they think, okay, I'm not good enough. I'm not thinking strong enough, because these people who wrote the book, they succeeded. So I'm a failure. I'm not good. So there's a basic problem with the law of attraction, because if you believe in the law of attraction as it is, it doesn't hold in real life. It doesn't hold it in sciences for sure. The part, you can add on that there are some very troubling aspects in the law of attraction. For example, let's say a woman was raped. One will say that, did she attract it into her life? Definitely not. But according to the secret law of attraction, you might say that she did. So it's really problematic. So, if some people will come to me and say, are you using the law of attraction? Basically, it's not a law. Nobody proves that it's working. The only proof that it's working is the money-making machine of the people who wrote The Secret. So I'm not using The Secret. I say, yes, thinking is important. Positive thinking is important. But again, another example is that, there's the saying that wake up in the morning, stand in front of the mirror and say good things about yourself, positive statements. And research proves that actually, if your basic self-esteem is good and you have evidence that you are good, this positive pumping is good. But if your self-esteem is not good, is not high enough, and there's not enough evidence to support what you're saying, basically it makes your situation worse.
Right.
Because you don't believe yourself. Okay, so there's a huge gap between your ideal self and your real self, and it just make you less comfortable.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And what do you do to make clients stay more engaged in the process in between sessions?
So they receive homework, which is accepted by them. So I make them design the homework themselves. And in some cases I ask them to email me the homework in advance, so they have like a time frame in which they need to make the homework too. And the fact that we discuss the homework, in some cases I heard coaches say, okay, you have these homeworks, but if you don't check the homework in the next session, it doesn't make any sense of even making them. Okay, so you gotta make sure that as a coach you will check the homework in the following sessions.
Yeah.
And you will reflect on them, and you will make sure that they are meaningful and important. Because they are, if you don't have homework between sessions, then there is no real reason for the client to reflect. Okay, so you just wait for the next session and come, and nothing will change between sessions.
Yeah.
And the really important work is between sessions.
Yeah.
Because 1 hour in a week is just a drop in an ocean. It's nothing.
Yeah. Do you do other things to make them stay engaged in the process?
I'm trying to build their self-confidence, self-esteem. I think that's it.
Yeah. You also mentioned before that before they start, they could talk to former clients.
Sure.
So that's, you've agreed with the former clients that they can be called or emailed or what?
Not in advance, but when somebody is contacting me and he consider working with me, then I contact the former clients and I ask their permission to give the number to the future clients.
Right. Okay. And what have your clients told you about the benefits of using positive psychology in coaching?
I don't think that the clients know how to differentiate between positive psychology and coaching. So for them, it's part of the coaching process.
Right.
They know to tell that this specific intervention was good, but for them it's part of the coaching process.
Right.
Okay, so it's not say, okay, positive psychology was good, coaching was not so good.
Mm-hmm.
It's part of the coaching process.
Yeah. And so what do they say about the things that you make them do or that you present for them?
For example?
3 good things, letter of gratitude, what do they say?
As I was saying before, letter of gratitude always work and always leaves a meaningful impression, both on the coachee and the person who received the letter. Letter from the future is challenging for some people who don't have the ability to design the future, or the magic question as well.
Do they say that? Or
Yeah, they do. They do. They come, first of all, they come to the next session and they didn't make their homework. They say, okay, why didn't you make? I couldn't see the future, or I wrote 2 letters from the future because I couldn't decide between them, and they're very different.
Right.
Or the 3 good things. I didn't find the time to buy the notebook. I have a busy week. I didn't wrote it.
Right.
Or you see that somebody wrote it, but it was out of hand, just on surface. It didn't really mean, because when people are getting into the 3 good things exercise, they come back to the sessions and they can deeply describe what they felt, because they were really mindfully thinking about the things that they were thanking for.
Yeah.
So you can tell if they did it intentionally, or I had one client with a CPA. Know what a CPA is?
No.
Accountant.
Okay.
and they're really good at numbers, but not so good in self-reflection.
Right.
So she wrote 3 good things every night, but she just wrote them at the list.
Right.
She didn't reflect, she didn't think about them.
Right.
So you just missed the point.
But so how can you tell? You mentioned a little bit, but how can you tell that they are progressing? You use the assessments and
Okay, so the assessment is one thing.
Yeah.
For example, a client can take an initiative. You know, I can ask him to write a letter of gratitude, and a month and a half into the coaching process, he will decide, without even me telling him, that he's writing a letter of gratitude to another person.
Right.
Which is a huge improvement.
Yeah.
Or you can see that a person had challenges writing even one good thing, and now comes with a list of good things, and you can see in his way of talking and moving that he's more positive. So you can, in my PhD research, I'm looking at people who are studying to become coaches, in coaching schools. So I give them questionnaires at the beginning of the course and at the end.
Yeah.
And I'm going myself to deliver the questionnaires. And you see a huge difference in people, in the way people look and behave from the beginning of the course to the end. And one major increments in the course is you coach yourself, you coach others, you're getting more familiar with coaching. So when people are engaged in coaching, you can tell. You can see real difference in the way that they appear, the way they manage themselves.
Right.
Apart from the usual assessments.
Yeah. And what do you think makes coaching work, or positive psychology interventions work?
Okay. First, I think we are in the edge of everybody want to change. Life is more hectic. It's changing all around us. So if in the past you can go to work and end your career after 40 or 50 years in the same place, today after 2 years you just change occupations or places or whatever. So people are more looking for changes. And if you look even on TV, then it's all about changes.
Yeah.
How to become more beautiful, how to become more rich, how to American Idol. Everybody wants to change something and become something. So, and they want it now, and they want it quick.
Yeah.
And coaching suits this framework, because you say we don't really need to understand the fundamental problems. If it's important, it will surface. We need an understanding, and then we go to implement change. And this is why coaching is really good and suits the current situation. Positive psychology suits beautifully because we are in an age or era of people are searching for themselves, their souls, mindfulness, and few years ago, it's I think 20, 30 years ago, it was more around survival. Do I have enough money to live? In our time, thanks to the Chinese, most things are cheap, and people have more time for leisure, to think about themselves, and to find meaning and purpose. Basically, this is what positive psychology is about: to help fulfill the potential, to help people become more satisfied with their life.
Yeah. And when you then take some things out of positive psychology and give it to a client, and something happens, how do you explain that happening? What makes an intervention work?
I just reflect on it with them, and look at what we have done here, what you have done. You change your focus from the negative to the positive. Look at the impact that this did to your life.
Yeah.
Okay, so if this is what 3 months of focusing on a positive did, think about the amplitude of doing it for years.
Yeah.
Think about doing it with your kids, for example, or with your wife. Okay, so let's try and create a framework that you can duplicate it.
Right. Also, I have some questions about how do you develop professionally as a coach now that you have taken coaching training and the master's program? What do you do from now on?
So first of all, I'm going through the conferences. So the London conferences and the conference in Boston.
Yeah.
Although I won't be going this year to Boston. I think the curriculum for this year is not as good as last year.
Right.
And I'm doing my PhD researching coaching. I'm participating in your research, which is actually again a way of gaining more knowledge and more understanding of the science behind coaching.
So when you learn something new, how do you integrate it in the way that you work?
So I read it. I try to take the main points or main interventions out of it. Try to create my own intervention with it. And very important, teach it. Teach it to others. Because the way to become an expert is to teach.
Right.
So I'm teaching positive psychology, and I'm trying to, to read, and if I find something that is useful, to teach it and see the reaction of people experiencing with it, and then try to implement it into my coaching clinic as well.
Right. Do you also use the interventions on yourself and the assessments on yourself, or you do that?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, for example, the letter of gratitude or the 3 good things or letter from the future, all of them I'm trying on myself first.
Right.
Because if it causes damage, I don't want to.
No. Right. And you mentioned to begin with something about positive psychology coaching and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So people who would like to say something about positive psychology and coaching, what can they say? How is this different from coaching using other types of?
It is tricky because even though we know that positive psychology is the scientific study of happiness, many look at positive psychology and say, okay, positive psychology is positive thinking. So it's pop psychology basically. So it's really hard to explain people the difference between positive psychology. It's really important to let them know the difference between positive psychology and pop psychology, and coaching. So if you combine the challenges in coaching and positive psychology, it's really a challenge for coaches to differentiate themselves and make the clients understand that what they're doing is scientifically based and not intuitive based. So in my future website, which I'm working on now, on each page this statement and the reference in research, so people will know what I'm referring to. So it's not just things that I'm saying that are not based on anything. I'm following the science, the science of positive psychology and coaching.
Yeah. And other things that one could say that makes it characteristic, or
you could say that you're using positive psychology methods or assessments. That at the end of the day, a good coach is a coach with the client feel that the coach as a person has something to give him apart from techniques.
Yeah.
So if I'm working with somebody who understands positive psychology, I want to make sure that he really knows what he is saying, okay? That he didn't just go to one of Tal Ben Shahar seminars, but either, thought positive psychology, practiced positive psychology, did a degree in positive psychology, knows what he's talking about.
Yeah.
Because the streets are full with coaches who just didn't have any qualifications, any degree, didn't learn anything in the field of either coaching or positive psychology.
Yeah.
And coaching is a great carriage to use positive psychology in.
Right, yeah. And then I have a few last questions. One is, are the things that I have not asked you about, but that are important to understand for me to get the full view of your working with this?
I think you covered most bases. I think in Israel, coaching is very, very big, and many people relate to coaching as a substitute for therapy.
Yeah.
On one hand, on the other hand, coaching is not well regarded because of the publicity and marketing point of view. So it's a huge challenge for somebody. When I first said that I was doing coaching, I saw people told me, you too. My barber is doing coaching. So everybody's doing coaching. So the challenge is really to differentiate yourself and make sure that you really are in the top league of coaching. This is why I went to Australia to do the master's degree. This is why I'm going to do the conferences. This is why I'm doing my PhD in coaching, although it was really hard to find a supervisor that will supervise me in coaching.
Right.
Yeah, because you go to universities, to faculty members, and they're saying coaching, no, it's this thing on TV, I don't want to do it. I started my PhD in another university, and I wanted to implement a coaching intervention for healthcare. And every time I came with an idea, my supervisor, who was a health psychologist, said, "This is not coaching. This is therapy. You can't do it. You're not allowed to do it. It's therapy." So people didn't really understand. Even Tony Grant, when he tried to publish papers, he said, "I'm the expert in coaching psychology, and I'm sending manuscripts to peer-reviewed journals, and I'm getting responses. People don't understand what I'm talking about. People don't know what coaching is. People don't really know what positive psychology is. So the challenge is to, so more people will know, and it's now, I think, 13 years after the, announcement of positive psychology by Martin Seligman, and I was sure that everybody knows what positive psychology is, and people don't know. People don't know. So it is a challenge to make people, know.
Yeah.
And it will make the profession more, or if it is a profession, more valid.
Yeah. Are there other things I need to understand to kind of get the full view of how you work? Things that I've not been able to think of when I...
Maybe the time I take to reflect between sessions. So, it's not just the session. You need time before session, and you need time after the session to create the case conceptualization, to draw yourself your conclusions from the session before you move to the next client. If you don't do that, you're kind of like a mechanic. So this is the session, we finish the session, next session. You don't really internalize the process that the client was through. You will forget things, you will not remember the main points.
Yeah.
So I think on each hour of coaching, I say you need 1 hour and a half or 2 hours more just to analyze the change, consider future direction for next session. You can't just come to the session and now let's see what happens. Okay, this is not good practice.
No.
Good practice is to come prepared, to read all your previous notes, look for interesting themes, look for challenges, look for pitfalls, areas where things could be happen in the process.
Yeah.
And this also will create a more meaningful alliance, because the coachee will understand that you are prepared.
Yeah.
You didn't just come to drink Diet Coke, you are prepared for the session.
Yeah.
You're with all your heart and mind with him in his challenge.
Yeah, yeah. And so how do you divide the time? How much time before the session, how much time after the session?
So I say about half an hour or 45 minutes before, and an hour, something like it, after.
Right. And the case conceptualization, is that written and you rewrite it?
Yeah,
or
it's written, and I'm using a CBT framework. So my thoughts, my behavior, the client's thought, behavior, what can be the triggers for that, what will create the cycle of behavior, and I'm rewriting it and changing it as we go.
Right.
And I have it in English, so I can change it, send it to you.
Yeah.
Okay, just remind me and I send it to you. It's a framework that Michael Kavanagh created, and they teach it at Sydney.
Right. I'd like to see.
Yeah,
that.
it basically gives you really organized framework of your client.
Yeah, I'd like to see that.
Okay.
Then last question is about advice. What advice would you give to others?
Study.
Study?
Study. Get a deep understanding of the science behind coaching and the science behind positive psychology. And find time to reflect. because if you don't do it, you just become a mechanic.
Yeah.
You start see dollar signs in a client's eyes instead of their heart and soul.
Yeah.
So these are my main recommendations.
Yeah. And what sometimes I ask people also, what would you like to know from others? Like
I think I would love to know other coaches' assessments, especially if they know valid assessments. Other case conceptualization framework if they use, other interventions, other techniques, very useful.
Yeah. And other things, like if I could add a few questions to my interview guide here, what answers would you like to hear from them?
Answers about supervision. Do they do supervision? Is it with a coach or psychologist? What this supervision looks like?
Yeah.
Are they managing any relationships with other coaches, other communities? Is there integration or sharing of knowledge between coaches? What is their impression with it? Because in Israel, most coaches are very competitive, so it's like a territorial way of.
Yeah.
Yeah.